So our first topic of the day is how dangerous is Alexander Usyk for Anthony Joshua? What do you guys think the biggest threat that he poses is?
Honestly, I think that Usyk could stink the place out and run away quite a wide winner against Joshua if Joshua's not careful. I think he's super talented. The question marks I've got is he's 34. He's not set the world on fire at heavyweight as of yet, but Joshua could only wish to have the IQ and the brain that Usyk's got. And I just think that if Usyk does his homework correctly, I could see him beating Joshua quite handily if his age hasn't caught up with him. But there's a lot of question marks there, isn't there? 34, stepping up from cruiserweight. It's going to be a big ask, but if anybody can do it and do it in fashion, I think it's Usyk.
Doey, what do you put on that fight? Obviously, Chisora did a lot better than everyone was thinking he was going to do. How much weight do you put into that performance?
To be honest, that's one of the first things that came to mind, is that because Usyk didn't blow away Chisora, he didn't toy with him as much as we thought he would. I think that if he beats Joshua, then it makes Joshua look bad, and if Joshua beats Usyk, it's it was only Usyk. He hardly even beat Chisora, and there's going to be loyal fans out there that think Chisora won. So I just think that I'm stealing a little bit of Greg's thunder here, is that it's high risk and a relatively low reward fight. I mean, what does Joshua get out of the Usyk fight? Except for, as boxing fans, we know he beats like a great. He beats a serious guy. But it's just to keep a belt. It's not massive money. I don't know. What are you saying about high risk and low reward, Greg?
I really agree with you. I think it's one of those fights like you say, Usyk, did he underestimate Chisora? It's difficult because I think there was nothing in the Joseph Parker fight, there was nothing in the Dillian White fight, and I don't know if Usyk just thought, I'm too good for him and I'll show it in this fight. Time will tell. I'll just dance around him. And when a guy really believes in himself, like Chisora, you need to be really, really up for a fight like that or it gets messy. But I totally agree with you. I think that it's high risk, low reward. Everybody knows who Oleksandr Usyk is in boxing. If you go and ask the man in the street who is Oleksandr Usyk and they're a casual boxing fan, they might not know. So I agree with you. I think it's high risk, low reward.
Do you think that Josh was more fearful than Chisora? So Chisora just pretty much walked forward, he leaned on him, he roughed him up a little bit, he sort of old manned him. I don't see Joshua doing that because Joshua wants to be seen as quite classy, a bit of a boxer, and he's not the same as Chisora, so he might even get less success.
Yeah, I know. And obviously AJ's got a lot more to lose than Chisora. If you think of Chisora, that was his big moment. That's, if anything, Usyk had more to lose in that fight with what we see as his progression in the heavyweight division. Whereas for Chisora, he's always been that gatekeeper where if he wins, you never know, it could have been him fighting for a world title or suddenly is in that question for the world title. I know I spoke to Zhile Zhang 2 weeks ago and he said that if the fight goes the distance, Usyk will win and wipe the floor with him. Is that something that you guys think as well? Or do you think AJ can outbox Usyk on the night?
Two-part answer. One, Joshua can't outbox Usyk. Like, not over 12 rounds, he just can't. And I'm a Joshua fan, but he can't. But number two, Britain's become the place where people don't get results. Like, we used to be like, oh, you go abroad and all that. It's not that. It's, if you come to Britain, you probably aren't getting the result. And is Usyk the same over here? Does he get a result? I don't know. Sad that we got to think about that.
A very, very good point. Yeah.
Because that is always something we thought about going, you don't want to go to Germany when Klitschko's fighting because you're never going to get a decision. You've got to knock him out. But is the tide turning now where fighters won't want to come to the UK because they're scared even if they do put on a great performance, they won't get the result? That's something as well that I haven't thought about actually.
So, but in terms of boxing ability,
Tough one.
Usyk's on a different level, isn't he? But again, another thing we sort of slightly talked about in our chats and before we've come on today, that Usyk was a different level at cruiserweight. Like, how much of that carries up? Like, he's not an almighty powerhouse. Has he slowed a little bit? It's just, there's still unanswered questions. You can't come into heavyweight and he gets a good win against Chisora. Someone's going to have to help me here. Who did he fight in America?
Witherspoon.
That's Weatherspoon.
Yeah. And again, relatively unconvincing, but Usyk's good though. So
Yeah,
I know one of these guys, though, when he's required to step up, he does it without even thinking about it. If he goes into a fight and he knows he's going to win, he's probably one of these guys that thinks, you know what, I can underperform and I'm still going to win. But when his back's really against it, I think he's one of these guys that can just go to a whole different level. But like I said earlier, 34 and he's stepping up. And I suppose the best evidence that we can look at is people say don't compare amateur to pro. But I don't know if you guys have seen much about the World Series of Boxing, where it was like the top guys in the country were fighting 5-round fights with no head guards, smaller gloves to get ready for the pros. And Usyk quite convincingly outboxed Joe Joyce. So he showed signs that he can outbox a big guy who's built like Anthony Joshua. It's just a matter of at 34 and still do that and do it to a confident world heavyweight champion. Big question for that.
Yeah, Greg, how much do you think Anthony Joshua's mindset will have changed? Obviously, he thought that he'd be going into this Tyson Fury fight, and now he's going into the Usyk fight. Obviously, they pose different threats. How much would his mindset have changed from that?
Yeah, I think he'll be more nervous for the Usyk fight because he might be telling us all that I'm not scared of anyone. Oleksandr Usyk, I've fought guys like him before. He's never fought anybody like Usyk before. Never fought a guy like Usyk before. I think it's a bit of kidology, and I don't know if we can even pair it back to Andy Ruiz. But if you guys remember AJ when he was coming through, he was a bit of a killer through hard, powerful combinations, and a lot of the time we don't see that anymore. There's something missing there with those hard, powerful combinations. You look at him fighting guys like Dillian White, even early on in his career, where he was fighting guys he was expected to beat. But there's something about him. He tries to be too. I don't know if it's down to Rob McCracken, but his style's changed in a way. I don't think it suits him. I think he needs to box behind a hard jab, go hard combinations, and really put a hurting on these guys. Because you just know that Joshua's going to come out and he's going to try and out jab us at times. I think that's crazy. I think it's so silly, but we'll soon find out.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't be too long till that fight happens. Hopefully it does happen because it hasn't actually been fully announced yet. But I know everyone can look forward to seeing your prediction video and seeing what you think will happen on Fight Week.